it seemed to me more of a political thing. It sounded to me like if we got a slogan out of that last session, it was "Take back the power." And obviously there is a pun there, but in a sense what Mark was saying is that the utility is holding on to the power and it belongs to us. And I suspect that may be the direction in which we're going to be heading. I'm not really an expert in agriculture, but my father was a president of a farmers cooperative, and so it's an issue that's near and dear to my heart, and I think that's why Robert grabbed me and asked me to focus on that, actually even before he asked me to help put together the Capital Watch. To put in context what our experts are going to say, I just want to throw some numbers at you very quickly. There was a study done by the state's Department of Agriculture 2 years ago. This is under a Republican administration, and that study estimated that we in Hawaii spend more than $3 billion every year buying food from overseas, mainly from the mainland, but from other countries as well. Most of that $3 billion ends up in the pockets of agribusinesses in California. Just about every single dollar that comes into the state through tourism goes back out the door again to pay for imported energy and food. Thanks to the efforts of many of the people in this room, we are starting to move in the direction of reducing our dependence on foreign oil, and that's great. Now it's time to do the same thing with food. Only the benefits of becoming food self-sufficient are even greater than the benefits of being energy self-sufficient. This is an idea whose time has come. You see it in a number of different meetings that are going on around the state, and a number of the different organizations that have been born. In the last few months, you've had the Save Oahu Farmland Alliance was born, thanks to efforts of people like Pearl Johnson, who was sitting here a moment. Oh, there you are, Pearl. The Farmers Union, thanks to efforts of people like Lydie Morgan over there. Thanks so much, Lydie, who's doing great work. The Food Policy Council, some of you might have gone to a couple of weeks ago. There's the revolt that we're all watching over the Envision Laie plan, and so on. So within the next month, the Sierra Club is going to launch our campaign to move towards to move the state towards food self-sufficiency standards. We're calling the campaign Grow Pono, Eat Ono. And there's a pun in there, and it's intended, because we're not just talking about growing food, we're talking about how we grow our economy, how we grow jobs, how we grow our town. And the logo I was going to show you, unfortunately, I'll see if I can get that going so I can quickly show it to you after the break. But anyway, let me summarize the arguments for food self-sufficiency. Number one, the most obvious one, our food supply is vulnerable. We currently grow between 10 and 15% of our food here in Hawaii. If there's a hurricane, a tsunami, a longshoreman strike in California, a bird flu pandemic, we're stuck. We have 3 to 4 days worth of food stockpiled in our warehouses. We can survive a week or a month without oil, but we can't survive a week or a month without food. Number two, food is becoming more expensive. We're watching oil prices go up. That is going to affect the prices of the inputs that go into food, fertilizers. Obviously, it's going to affect the transportation costs. It's madness. We have some of the most fertile land on earth here. We have a year-long growing season. Jobs, jobs, jobs. That study I mentioned by the Department of Agriculture estimates that if we boosted our food production here by just 10%, would stimulate nearly $200 million in new sales, $50 million in profits, $6 million to the state tax revenues, and create more than 2,300 jobs. If we grew all of our food here, we're talking about more than $1 billion worth of stimulus to the economy and more than 15,000 new jobs. Nutrition. Locally grown food is more nutritious. Fruits and veggies shipped from California are picked before they ripen. That's the model. They have to do it that way. but that means they have less time to develop the vitamins and the nutrients that we need. The heat and light that they're exposed to during transportation quickly degrade the fragile nutrients like vitamin C and thiamine. And frozen veggies suffer from the same problem. They have to be blanched in steam. That takes away some of their vitamins. An emphasis on local produce grown by local people will inevitably promote nutritional awareness and more consumption of fruits and vegetables, and that's going to help us counter the growing epidemic of diabetes, obesity, and other diet-related diseases. Number 5, global warming. Our climate is warming, sea levels are rising, Hawaii is particularly vulnerable. The United Nations Environmental Programme says that organic agriculture can sequester 7,000 pounds of carbon dioxide per acre per year. It's one of the cheapest methods available to tackle carbon dioxide. 6, open space. Farmland preserves the beauty of our islands. This is not just the concern of people who've been described as parachute residents. I guess I might be a parachute resident. Malihinis with Brit accents. It's a concern for our major industry here, tourism. You know those forms that people have to fill out on planes? You know, what do you think about your stay in Hawaii, that kind of thing. You know what the number 1 complaint is for tourists who come to Oahu? Urban sprawl. They don't like seeing it. Number 7, it's the law. Our state constitution stipulates that the state shall conserve and protect agricultural lands, promote diversified agriculture, increase agricultural self-sufficiency, and assure the availability of agricultural suitable lands. Next question. It's the law. Number 8, quality of life. We've paved over more than 50% of Oahu's farmland already. It's led to ugly suburban sprawl and the second most congested freeway in the nation. I used to drive along the Long Island Expressway, which people who've ever driven that, they used to call it the longest parking lot in the world. Well, it turns out it's not. H1 is worse. Number 9, it's a moral and spiritual obligation.